Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nic Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, and welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we're joined by Sunil Gregory. Sunil is a PhD in IT law. He's an author. He also works at company Cognizant. I'm going to let him give you more information about what he does there and kind of what their company does. Sunil, great to have you on the Flex Forward podcast. Can you let our listeners know a little more about you and kind of what you do on a daily basis?
Sure. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for inviting me into your podcast. It's a real pleasure. My name is Sunil Gregory. I work for a company called Cognizant. Cognizant is a 30-year-old technology consulting company. We are headquartered in Teaneck, New Jersey. We are present in around 52 countries across the globe. We serve industries across multiple sectors, starting off with healthcare. Just a case in point, around 65% of all the insurance transactions in America goes through our platform in the backend. So any transaction that you do, the backend processing happens on our platform. Similarly, we do support in large banks like Bank of America, etc. We are present in telecom, communication, and energy. We are present in almost all verticals that you can expect in this space. So that's the background of the company that I work for. I work in the communication, media, and technology business unit for the company, and my role is to lead the company strategy for the particular business unit. So I'm responsible for looking at what should be the areas that the company should invest, what are the new services that we should develop, we should co-develop with our customer. Those are some of areas of interest for me.
Okay, very neat. Well, in the IT world, there's a lot of competition out there. What's something that maybe sets you and your team, or mostly you, apart from others that have allowed, something that maybe has allowed you to have your success? Uh-oh. You lock up? Oh, you froze for a second. We'll get this edited. Can you hear me? Sunil, are you hearing me?
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yep. I'll redo that question. We'll get they'll edit this out. All right, everything clear? You're good? All right, yeah. You froze all of a sudden. So within the IT world, there's a lot of competition. People are trying to do similar things. What is something you feel that sets you apart that's maybe helped you to have some of your success?
Sure. See, I can talk about a couple of things in the IT industry. One, what are we challenging? What are we facing as a challenge today? Almost all sector is going through the same pain, but more so in the IT and technology world. And needless to say, that's the transformation that AI has introduced.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an interesting one because this is a phenomenal shift that is happening in the industry as we speak. It has downstream implication not just in the technology world, but even in our society. So we are, in fact, facing, if I do a comparison, a similar kind of challenge that we faced as a nation way back during the New Deal era. We are going through a similar kind of a challenge. So a lot of the underlying simmering tensions that we see is a result of the changing economic realities. So what is happening is in the last 30, 35 years, the business flows got set in certain fashion. It got designed by an IT backbone, which required certain ways of working. The ways of working that we are used to, the 9 to 5 kind of a job, the planned job and long-term employment, etc., all these are coming under tension because the fundamental way in which people work is getting changed by the introduction of artificial intelligence. What are we doing as a company? This is kind of a pivotal moment for us. So we have recognized that this is going to eat not just our lunch, this is going to eat the lunch of our customers, and it is going to create a massive shift. So rather than getting scared about the change, what we have done is that we have proactively invested into the game. So last 2.5 years, we have invested close to $1.5 billion into creating solutions, creating platforms, training the solutions. Today, we are one of the largest firms in the world to retrain our employees into a new technology so that we can be at the forefront of the revolution. So that is one thing that is happening. Now, it's an interesting question that you asked me because right now I am working on a second book, and my second book is more focused on the social structure of the world. There are certain legal structures on which the edifice for our society. Take, for
Okay.
example, the property law, the liability law, the data privacy law, and the last part of it, which is our economic security, is also designed on certain structures which we got used to. This got established in the last 100 odd years, um, well established, I should say, post Second World War. Now all
Okay.
those elements are getting stressed. Very recently, the current Pope Leo XIV came out with a fantastic encyclical. Uh, Whether you are a practicing Catholic or not, I would recommend it as a good read for a person who is interested, because that encyclical covers not a religious aspect. It covers the social doctrine on how
Mm.
should societies think themselves in the onset. I'll take an example. For example, our pension model or our social security model, all these are designed for long term employment.
Mm-hmm.
If I start off as an engineer, then I would have my 30 or 35 years of career as an engineer. I would be contributing into a social security mechanism so that when I retire, the mechanism can pay me back. And there is
But
an
you need
employer,
somebody,
there
you
is
need another long-term employee, right? Or maybe 10
correct,
to
correct,
cover
correct.
you.
And it's a cycle. For example, my instead of me, another person would come, and that person would be taking the burden of generating the wealth, and it's an ongoing process.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the whole employment model is changing, if it is going to be very short-term employments, gig economy as they call it today, how do we structure that?
Ah,
One way is a purely capitalistic model. We are all known for that. But the pure play capitalism without a structured model to think about the social aspect of it can be dangerous. So,
ah,
unfettered capitalism and unfettered socialism are equally dangerous. So, this is the gist of the encyclical that has come. It is a long document, around 250-page document. So that's a good read, I would say, for anybody who is trying to understand a little bit about what is happening on the IT side.
what did you call
So
it again?
the name of the encyclical is Magnificia Humanitas, or Magnificent Humanity.
I'm writing it down
Yeah,
so I can look that up. Awesome. No,
yeah,
yeah, very interesting. Yeah, that's something we've had a lot of conversations with different guests about, how is AI going to affect anywhere from, IT jobs, but is it going to trickle down to even, to apartment complexes or housing? If people aren't going to have an
absolutely.
income, are they going to be able to pay housing? And people think of IT jobs as AI first hitting the IT world, but somebody told me recently they saw a robot putting shingles on a roof. It was a machine that was going across. It would go across the roof, move up, put more. It just so eventually you're not going to and that thing can probably work 24 hours a day. It's 365 days a year. Now, you probably don't want the noise going at night, but it's not going to call in sick. It's not going to sue you if it falls off the roof. So those
Correct,
eventually will potentially be replacing, roofers. I think there's still going to be some jobs that are needed, but
correct,
there's going to be some that are not. And so how's that going to
correct,
affect, workforce housing and whatever the different types of uh, living there is, and well, even eating at a restaurant or things like that, to where can you
correct.
if you, or even waitresses, a lot of restaurants now you order on a not a lot, but I've been to a couple where you order on a digital thing and it's out there faster, or the waiter has
Yep.
a pad. I was talking to somebody, he said that by ordering on the digital, it goes to the kitchen. It saves a minute on every table, but or whatever the number was, but it's turning instead of walking back there with a piece of paper that has been written down. It's fascinating just the efficiencies it's creating, but with
Yep,
efficiencies come less need for the labor.
correct.
So it's
So
just
even the labor model has to change. There are various thoughts that are going on. For example, I was listening to a podcast with Elon Musk. So he gave this interesting concept. He said, look, why don't we go for a universal basic income? That is, there is going to be huge productivity gains, which basically means economy will run, which basically means money would be there in the system. Why not I give that money, maybe the company or maybe the government or whoever is there, why not we pay, let's say, $1,000 each to every single potentially earning member so that people are compensated. They don't have to work, they just get the money. It's a good philosophical thought. As an intellectual exercise, it's a good one. There is definitely positive to that. There is negatives to that also. For example,
sure.
and that's a very interesting thought because that's why I was referring to that encyclical very much. Because one of the interesting point that the faith system is trying to point out is work is more than work for us. It definitely puts bread on the table, but it is also a part of self worth.
Yes.
So, our structure, our relationships, the role that we have in the family, in the society, it's somehow linked to work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not as, I mean, different cultures have different levels of strength. For example, America, we heavily leverage on work as a part of our identity. Maybe lesser in Europe, but still there is a linkage. If you take the linkage away, then you are not giving a reason for a human being to function in the sense that we are known to. That is a very chaotic society. So how do we deal with that? So these are all nuances that we would have to face in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, no, very fascinating. Think ripples that you don't think about with these things that
Correct.
are well beyond just having the job, but yeah, just your self worth and yeah. Because I've thought about that. I'm like, I couldn't imagine sitting. I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't have my work to do. Bring income for my family. You sounds good. You would get to do vacations, but you know, my fear is that if everybody's getting free money, vacation prices are going to go up. I just what's going to happen is it going to be a special to take
Correct.
a vacation and things like that. Just all the ripples that come from that.
Correct.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
So
So,
we do look forward to the long weekends because it's special. We have to earn for that. But if you
mhm.
have long vacations every day, then the vacation stops having meaning.
Yeah. Oh, precisely. Yeah. Very well said. Yeah, they're not special at all if it's
Yep.
all the time. Well, and then do you have the money to do it, or you just have if it's a basic income, is it enough to feed you? And
Yep.
it
Yep.
comes very thinking not is it 1984? There was one book where they get it wasn't not it was one of those novels similar to 1984 where they get a ration of alcohol every so much, and that was their special time was a couple of grams, or I don't remember what the measurement was of some type of alcohol to kind of keep them happy.
Mm.
Very I can't remember the name of that book, but it was similar to 1984 type book. But so as you've had your journey, have you had any podcasts or a book, or and you just gave us a great book reference, something that you found really helped you grow in your ability to work or be a partner thing, just something that you found that helped you be better at what you do?
I wouldn't say one particular book. I like reading. In fact, I was just admiring the backdrop that you have. You seem to have a very good collection of books.
I love you.
So
I'm constantly reading 2 or 3 books sometimes at a time.
interestingly, there was one thought exercise which my previous manager asked me to do, and it seems that was a thought exercise. The first female prime minister of India used to do. So what he told me was, as you grow in your career, as you go into senior levels, the biggest skill that you need is the ability to switch context. You'd be
Okay.
taking one decision right now, somebody else would come with another problem. You have to take decisions there. You don't have the runway to uh, go deep into the program. You have to get to the top of it in less than 30 seconds. So how
Uh,
do you train your brain for that? So what he told me, and I found it very, very interesting. It's a very difficult exercise to do. Um, the lady he was talking about, her name was Indira Gandhi. She was the first female prime minister of India, and she ruled the country during a lot of challenging times. But she was known as a very strong ruler.
Okay.
So it seems in her memoir or biography or something, she talks about how she trained her mind. It seems every day before sleeping, she used to dedicate half an hour for reading.
Mm.
But the way she used to read was she used to read 5 books in that half an hour. So she
Wow.
will
So
take a
6 minutes
book,
or so each.
6 to 7 minutes each for a book. Wherever she reaches, she'll stop there, take the next one. So that's not for the pleasure of reading. That is to train your mind to
Train your mind.
switch context very fast. It's a very difficult one. I tried, I could go till 3. After that, it was a pain because it's not very easy to switch off and switch on,
Yeah.
but it's a very,
Because
very difficult exercise.
I read that every night. Well, 90% of the nights before I go to bed, probably almost 100%. Very rare that I don't, but I'll read for about 20 minutes just to. I usually try to get my brain to settle down. And it sometimes I'm reading a self-help book, sometimes I'm reading a biography, but even I mean probably 10% of my books are fiction just to mix it up a little bit occasionally, but mostly I like to, I love history. I see you're a World War II historian, and I'm also aerospace and aero trivia. So that's got to be a story. So, yeah, I love a lot of U.S. history, but occasionally some more European. I'm going to look up the first prime minister of female prime minister of India. I'm going to do some research on her, see if I can get a book, because that's the Asian area is not area that I've looked or done a lot of reading on. So that I need to start learning more about that area.
See, since you said books, there is one interesting book which I recently read. I really liked a lot. Since you said you like history, the name of the book is um, Brothers, Rivals, Victors.
Say it again.
Brothers,
Brothers,
Rivals, Brothers, Rivals, Victors. So this
brothers,
is
rivals, victors. Okay.
this is the story of the three most popular generals of America who won the war for us. General
Okay.
Eisenhower, General Patton,
Patton. Yep.
and then Bradley.
Okay. No,
So
I'll look
it's
that
a
up.
trajectory.
Put that on my list.
Yeah, it's a trajectory of their career history. At some point in time, they were in different positions. If you start, Patton was senior to both of them, but then why he got relegated in the race, and it's a brilliant book on leadership
Mm.
because leadership requires a lot of qualities, and finally it kind of explains to us why FDR took the decision to let Eisenhower lead us instead of a Bradley or a Patton or somebody. It
Okay.
kind of explains the story. It's an amazing book.
No, I love it. Yeah, I'll put it on my. I have an Amazon. I used to buy every book that was referred to me, but then also I have a stack of books that I need to read.
Mhm.
Now I put them on my Amazon wish list. So when I get ready for
It's a
one,
good
but
one.
that's one I may move up to. I'll move up to the front. It sounds like I'd love it. So as you've had your career path and your journey, what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome?
Uh, that's an interesting question because I haven't had a straight career path. Every 4 or 5 years, I would have deviated a bit. So it's not a standard career path. If when my LinkedIn is a little bit curated, so I have not mentioned the deviations in the LinkedIn.
Okay, yeah,
Um, for example, I started my career way back in 2000, early 2000, in the infrastructure business.
okay,
The first company I worked for, they used to set up network infrastructure for telecoms and the other industries. I started there, moved on to communication industry, but then 2008 was the global recession,
mm-hmm.
so I changed my job, took a different job. I went to the corporate. I joined the CEO's office. I was running the strategy for a transformation strategy for them. Halfway through uh, midlife crisis, I left and then started a small startup. Very interesting startup. The name of the startup was Birch Bits. So birch is the tree from
Yep.
which we form papyrus, which is the first
Paper.
paper,
Yeah.
and bits is basically the digital one. So my
Oh.
objective was to create a lending library, a digital lending library where I could curate a lot of books and I could lend it out. When I'm talking about 2008, 2009 timeframe, we did create a digital library. Those days, we did not have the kind of smartphones that we have today.
Hmm.
It was slightly rudimentary version. I don't know whether you remember the Nokia days.
Yep.
Nokia had a series called N90 or something, which was the initial version. This was before Apple.
Yeah,
So,
that was before I had a cell phone. So yeah, I held out. I
so
think I had I might, you know what? I did have a Nokia, a couple of little small,
oh no, no,
brick
no. So
looking
that
ones.
was the first. Now the brick-looking ones. Then the Nokia went into the 9N series. They had
Yes.
wider screens.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
could actually read something on that one. So we converted. I mean, at that point in time, I got rights for 50,000 books, and we converted that into digital books, and my subscribers could read those in that screen.
Oh, neat. What a neat plan.
Um, didn't make money, lost
Yeah.
money.
Oh no.
So
But you learned. I bet you learned something on it.
yes. I did. It was an interesting one. It was a work of passion. So I liked it. So then I moved back into the industry. Thankfully, people gave me a second chance and a third chance. So we did work. Then I moved into sales. I was in sales for some time. Around 10 years, I was in sales. And this was just before COVID.
Okay.
I got interested in the whole data economy, as we call it right now. So I started investigating the nuances around it. Those days, it was not a very rosy subject. It was a dull and boring subject. So I went after the legal nuances behind the data economy. That was my PhD topic. So COVID was a blessing in disguise, wrong word to use, but blessing in disguise to me
Hmm.
because there was no travel. Otherwise, I used to have a traveling job. So
Okay.
3 years, there was no travel, which basically means I was locked up in my home, could finish my PhD, and that was the beginning of the first book.
Okay.
So yes, there was challenges, but each challenge offered something new, an opportunity to dig some new path, and that's what I've been grateful for in life.
For sure. It's always good when you have those challenges to find the positive out of those,
Yep,
something that you can learn, because we're all going to have challenges in life. I don't think
yep.
anybody makes it through without having some kind of a challenging episode, and you can either be the victim of it or have growth coming out of it. So it sounds like you really found the positive aspect of those and were able to make something good out of them. That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, congratulations. Sounds like things are going well. And it's a lot of times as you start having success, you start thinking about outside investments or maybe doing something to create income outside of your main job. Have you ever looked at any alternative investments, or you do anything like that to bring in
Uh,
additional income or mailbox money, like some people like to call it?
we haven't thought through it. Currently, we are still in the early days of our family. I have three kids, still in middle school and elementary school. So
Okay.
our model is a very, very traditional model, both parents working. So my wife is also working. So it's like
Oh,
the classical models that we are experiencing. So the investments are also going into the traditional ones, 529s of the world and
yeah.
IRAs of the world. That's where we are. But interesting question. Maybe I should start thinking about those eventually. At this point in time, it's like focus on making sure that the kids get to the college, and that's what we are focused on.
Yeah. Well, and that's me. We're 2 weeks away. I've got three girls, 20, 18, and 14, and two will be
Uh-huh.
leaving in about 2 weeks for college. So we're about to only have one. I mean, one will be a junior, one will be a freshman. So it's going to
Mhm.
be a little quieter in our house. We'll only have one left, and she's here for another 4 years. But it's you definitely got to focus on getting that taken care of, and it flies by. It's hard to think.
True.
My oldest turns 21 next month, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I have somebody that's 21 years old. I have a daughter that's a child 21 years old. It's exciting stuff. So, as we're wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives in the next 6 to 12 months?
Not really. Right now I'm focused on closing the book that I was talking about. That's my second work. It's a slightly deeper one, and it's more of a involved project. So maybe by December it should come out to print, and maybe then I'll start looking something outside after.
Okay. Well, Sunil, thank you so much for your time and sharing tips and insights with us. If listeners like to find out more about what you do or find out about your books, what's the best way they can get in touch with you?
They can connect me through LinkedIn, or I can even share my email address if that helps.
Yeah,
LinkedIn is the best way I generally.
Okay.
I can share that with you. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. And then we'll post it in there. Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Very interesting. I'm going to definitely check out your book and some of your other book recommendations. So that's awesome. So enjoyed getting to visit with you. And everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. Be sure to like this episode and share it with your friends. Thanks, Sunil. I enjoyed visiting with you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.